Hello, I'm Mike Adnett. I'm the CEO of St Lawrence Academies Trust. And many of the questions that are around joining multi-academy trusts are around the finances and around pupil numbers. And I think some of the pressures and challenges that schools are facing at the moment aren't new. Schools have always faced increasing costs, whether it's for wages or services. Trying to get your staffing levels high enough to meet the needs and increasing challenging needs of our more vulnerable students. And many schools in the diocese are going to be in a situation where they will be experiencing falling rolls, whether that's from the national predictions of falling rolls or from rural sparsity that many of our small church schools face. But for many schools, it's a perfect storm brewing because some of those costs and pressures are really spiralling. Now, what MATs can't do is MATs can't increase the birth rate and they can't decrease the level of need and some of the complex need of our students. But what they can do is try to mitigate the impact of that. They can add strength, they can add flexibility, they can increase the resilience of schools working together, and they can introduce more forward planning rather than reactive budgeting to try to offset that. So in terms of what can MATs offer and how can they strengthen it, in terms of that strategic and financial planning, what they have is they have central teams with real expertise around finances, and what that enables them to do is to better predict, to better make more accurate assumptions, and therefore put plans in place that can offset some of the challenges that may be coming down the line. It allows schools and leaders to make more timely interventions, but also to be forward thinking. How many schools are able to have a refresh plan for their ICT equipment, or is it actually when it comes to end of life they can't replace it? How many schools are able to think about long-term plans for their buildings, their environment, to make sure that the environment is not just safe, but it nurtures and it reflects what church schools are like. Quite often we get bogged down in staffing percentages and what bigger slice of the cake and the budget cake that is. And I think the other way to look at it is if you take a large slice of the cake out for your staffing, what does that leave you with? And if you've only got 10%, 15% of your budget to spend on your resources, the children, creating exciting opportunities for them, and to be able to look after the environment that they're in, are we actually shortchanging the experience that children have in schools by overloading our staffing? Staffing's important, but I think by coming into a MAT environment, you're in a network of schools where there's economies of scale, and that can reduce the pressures on some of your staffing. There's savings that can be made. We've also got to think about responsibility. It's public money. We can't keep running it into the ground, but we've also got the responsibility to church school and church school education. It can't just be there for the children now. It's got to be there for the children who are not yet in the school system or have not yet been born. Church schools are integral parts of our community, and we've got an obligation and responsibility to make sure they're there for the generations to come. So we've got to look after the finances. What MATs are able also to do is to target promotional work and marketing work, so that where there is a geographical situation where schools are experiencing falling rolls, they at least fight for their fair share of pupil numbers. And again, in terms of long-term sustainability and viability, it's what we need to do. Centralisation is often seen as something that is an issue for schools when they join multi-academy trusts, and that's often around the finances and the budget. But actually, centralisation is a really positive thing. With centralisation comes commonality, consistency, and that leads to efficiency, effectiveness, and that then also has an impact on workload. So it's not just a case of what we're going to lose, it's what we're going to gain by those centralisation. In terms of the centralisation, it also enables schools to have expertise in and around their schools that either wouldn't be affordable or wouldn't be even available if they weren't part of a MAT network. And I think benefiting from that real excellence and expertise is something that schools really should consider, because where are they going to get that from with the spiralling challenges that they've got? The other thing in terms of staffing, it's are we going to lose staff to a centralised service? And I think what it enables you to think about is actually don't lose those staff, because those staff are still working for your school on behalf of your school, and actually you're enabling really good and really talented staff to create a greater impact across more schools. And there's succession planning and career opportunity and pathways for people to go into that means they actually leave the organisation altogether if they didn't exist. So I think school leaders have always wrestled with that conundrum of how do we meet the increasing and complex need of our most vulnerable students? How do we create a high quality education for all our pupils? How do we balance the budget? And how do we keep everybody happy? Now, maths haven't got a magic wand, they're not going to be able to solve all those things. But what they do have is they have that strength, they have that capacity, they have that expertise, and they have that ability to be able to work and think strategically. And I think sometimes rather than thinking about what you're going to lose if you join a MAT, you really need to think about what you're going to gain. MATs are all about getting more for our schools for less, so we can actually prioritise and cherish our most valuable assets, which are our pupils and our staff.
The thing I like most about the school is the worships, and I like doing math. I wrote the school prayer and I also do collective worship council.
My favourite thing about this school is the worships and when we do writing and reading. I'm wearing a yellow jumper because I'm a school counsellor and we get to help the school and do special meetings to make the school a better place. So you can do skipping, hockey and basketball, and you can do some in the morning and some after school, and sometimes there's ones during the school that you can do during break.
Badminton and football, and you can also do dodgeball. We have a school football team as well, and they do like tournaments and stuff after school. And then we've got an athletics tournament coming up soon at Tolbar.
You can do collective worship counsellors. There's lots of different roles in that job, and a couple of them are holding doors open for Key Stage 1 or Key Stage 2. You can ask people to choose a greeting at the front, or you can be a photographer. That's what job I do.
I hold the doors to class 4 and 5, I do. You can also play the music and go with a laptop in it. And also I do librarian as well, which is where you organise all the books in the library.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Ranshaw, the head teacher at the Humberston Church of England Primary School. Our school decided to join a MAT for 3 main reasons. We took quite a lot of time to think about it and consider it. We wanted to make sure that it was right for our school and that it would fit our context of our school. But we did feel the time was right to have some collaborations with local schools and schools further afield. We are really proud of our school and really proud of our talented staff, and we want to be able to share some good practice and share our knowledge and skills with other schools locally to make a difference to other children, which is our school vision. And we also want to help our staff to grow and develop further, and that gives them the opportunity to do so while still remaining with us. We were really excited about the prospect of working with other schools as well, to be able to get lots of new ideas and to be able to do some moderations between schools and work with other local heads as well. So we made the decision to join the MAT, and it's been a really positive process. We have support at the end of an email, at the end of the phone, whenever we need it, and it's really lovely to be able to have lots of CPD opportunities, and we can share training facilities and spread some of those costs as well. For our school, it wasn't a requirement that we joined a MAT, but it was one that the governors and all of the staff felt would be really beneficial to the school and to the pupils. And for me personally, as a new head teacher, the links and connections that I've been able to make with other heads locally and further afield has been really beneficial to my development as well.